I heard my 3 children laughing about selling my house before I even had time to put down my suitcase. I had taken my shoes off at the front door because I did not want to wake anyone. Then I heard my oldest son. The old lady fell for it, Tyler said. Give it 15 days. We list the house, close fast, split the money, and she'll never know what hit her. My daughter Brooke laughed first. Then my youngest, Jason, gave this nervous little chuckle I had heard since he was 8 and lying about broken dishes. The lamp in the living room was on. Their shadows stretched across the wall. They were sitting around my coffee table, drinking iced tea, eating from my refrigerator, planning to sell the house I had paid for with burned hands, swollen feet, and 32 years of double shifts. What if Mom makes a scene? Brooke asked. Shouldn't, Tyler said. She's 69. She barely understands online banking. You really think she understands estate documents? That sentence did something to me I cannot fully explain. It did not break my heart. It clarified it, because I did understand documents. I understood mortgage statements stacked in shoeboxes. I understood property tax receipts saved in manila folders. I understood deed transfers, signatures, notarized forms, and the difference between helping your mother and hunting her. My name is Margaret Ellis. For most of my adult life, people called me Maggie from Maggie's Plate, the breakfast diner I ran on the east side of Columbus, Ohio. I opened at 5 in the morning and closed after dinner. I flipped eggs until my wrists ached. I served coffee to truckers, nurses, factory men, lonely widowers, and college kids who tipped in quarters. This house was not a gift. It was not an inheritance. It was not some family pot waiting to be divided. I bought it brick by brick, plate by plate, bill by bill. My children grew up inside these walls. Tyler learned to ride his bike in the driveway. Brooke practiced cheer routines in the living room and cried in my shoulder when her first husband left. Jason hid under the dining room table during thunderstorms, and I sat on the floor beside him until stopped shaking. I gave Tyler $40,000 to save his auto shop when he said one bad season would ruin him. I co-signed Brooke's condo after she promised she had changed. Jason lived with me until he was 35 and never once paid the electric bill on time. The Phoenix trip had been Tyler's idea. He said Evelyn was lonely, that I deserved a break, that I should stop worrying about the house and let them handle things. I went because I wanted to believe my children still wanted me rested, not removed. But something had bothered me the whole time. Tyler kept calling to ask where I stored old papers. Brooke texted about whether I had a safe. Jason asked if my social security card was still in my bedroom desk. So I changed my ticket and came home early. Now I knew why. I stepped into the living room. All 3 of them froze. It did not scream. I did not throw the cinnamon rolls. I set the box gently on the side table and looked at each of them. I never signed anything, I said. Noon moved. Tyler stood first because he always believed standing made him bigger than the truth. Mom, you misunderstood. No, I said. For once, I understood exactly. Brooke began crying, but the tears came too quickly. I knew my daughter's real tears. These were performance tears, the kind she used with bankers, husbands, and me. Mom, we were only talking about options, she said. You're alone here. It's not safe. My house is safer than 3 children who plot in the dark. Jason flinched. Tyler's jaw tightened. You're tired, he said. Let's talk tomorrow. No, I said. You will leave tonight. The silence after that was heavier than shouting. Brooke grabbed her purse. Jason stood slowly, eyes wet but mouth closed. Tyler looked at me as if I had embarrassed him in his own home. But it was not his home. When the door finally slammed behind them, I locked it, chained it, and stood there with one hand against the wood. Then I walked to my bedroom, opened the bottom drawer off my nightstand, and pulled out the fireproof pouch he had kept for 28 years. Inside was the deed. Margaret and Ellis. Sole owner. No liens. No co-owners. No transfer. I sat on the edge of my bed under the yellow lamp and read my own name 5 times. For the first time since becoming a mother, I understood something cruel and holy at the same time. Protecting myself did not mean I had stopped loving my children. It meant I had finally stopped betraying myself. And before sunrise, I found the one thing Tyler never expected me to have. I slept for 2 hours, maybe 3. By 5:15 in the morning, I was sitting at my kitchen table with black coffee, the deed, 3 property tax receipts, and the small black recorder I had bought 6 months earlier after Jason's ex-girlfriend warned me to start keeping proof. At the time, I thought she was bitter. Now I realized she had been kind. The recorder had been sitting in my hallway cabinet, turned on by accident when I came in and dropped my keys beside it. It had captured every word from the living room. The old lady fell for it. Give it 15 days. She barely understands estate documents. I listened once. Then I stopped it. I did not need to torture myself twice. At 9, I called Diane Harper, an estate attorney who used to come into my diner every Friday for biscuits and gravy. Her husband had died years ago, and sometimes she would sit at the counter after closing just to talk. When I told her who I was, she remembered my coffee before she remembered my name. By 2 that afternoon, I was in her office downtown with a folder so full it barely closed. I told her everything. Phoenix. The hallway. The plan, the questions about my papers. Tyler's tone. Brooke's tears. Jason's silence. Diane listened with a pen in her hand and no pity in her face. I appreciated that. Pity would have made me collapse. When I finished, she said, Maggie, unless you sign a deed, power of attorney, or sales contract, they cannot sell your house. The air came back into my lungs. But if they try? Before I left, I signed a sworn statement that I had not authorized any sale, transfer, power of attorney, or listing connected to my house. Diane also helped me freeze unauthorized title activity and contact the county recorder's office for alerts. Then she asked the question I had avoided for years. Do you have a current will? I have children, I said quietly. That is not the same thing. So I made a new one. I did not know yet who deserved what. But I knew one thing. Nobody would inherit the right to erase me while I was still breathing. For the next few days, I acted normal. Tyler called first. Mom, I hate how things sounded, he said. We're just worried about you. Of course, I said. Brooke came the next afternoon with flowers from the grocery store and a soft voice. You shouldn't be rattling around in this big place alone. If you sold it, you could move somewhere nice, maybe near me. I smiled. That's thoughtful. She looked around the living room too much. Jason showed up Friday night. No flowers. No speech. He stood on the porch with red eyes and a paper bag of burgers. Can I come in? He asked. I almost said no. Then I saw the boy who used to fear thunder. He sat at me kitchen table, twisting a napkin until it tore. Mom, he said, you heard everything, didn't you? I poured coffee I did not want. Yes. His face crumpled. It was Tyler's idea. Almost 1 year ago. He said the house was sitting there doing nothing. He said you'd do better in assisted living. He said if we waited until you died, probate would be messy. And Brooke? She knew. And you? He stared at the table for too long. Yes. That hurt more than Tyler's arrogance or Brooke's acting. Jason had always been weak, not wicked. But that night I learned weakness can still hold the knife while someone else pushes. Why did you agree? I asked. Debt, he whispered. Credit cards. Back taxes. Tyler said I'd get an auto start over. And I would get what? He covered his face. I don't know. That answer was the first honest thing any of them had given me. You're going to call your brother and sister, I said. Sunday. 4 o'clock. My kitchen. No excuses. Jason looked up. What are you going to do? What I should have done before they mistook my love for permission. Sunday came gray and cold. I made coffee because my hands needed something familiar. I put the deed in the center of the table. Beside it, I placed Diane Harper's card and a sealed envelope. I invited Diane. I also invited a second person. My neighbor, Mr. Alvarez, who had installed the little doorbell camera that recorded every person walking into my house that Tuesday night. Tyler arrived in a navy coat and anger polished into manners. Brooke came wearing black, as if she were already attending a funeral. Jason came last and would not look at either of them. Tyler saw Diane at the table and stopped. What is this? He asked. I put my hand on the deed. Mom, this is ridiculous. You brought a lawyer to a family talk. No, Diane said. She brought a lawyer to a potential fraud matter. Brooke began crying immediately. Well of you, she said. This is so unfair. I turned to her. Unfair was standing in my living room and discussing my house while you thought I was 1,700 miles away. Tyler pointed at Jason. You told her? Jason's hands shook, but he lifted his head. She heard us. Shut up, Tyler snapped. For the first time in his life, Jason did not. No, he said. I'm done shutting up. That was the first twist Tyler did not see coming. Jason looked at me, then at Diane. They planned it. Tyler found a real estate agent willing to do a quiet valuation. Brooke was going to push Mom into signing a financial power of attorney by saying it was for emergencies. I was supposed to keep Mom calm. Brooke sobbed harder. I wasn't going to hurt her. You were going to take her home, Jason said. The room went silent. Diane opened her folder and slid out the sworn statement. Mrs. Ellis has formally declared that she has not authorized any sale, transfer, listing, or power of attorney related to this property. Any attempt from this point forward will be documented. Tyler's face hardened. You're poisoning her against us. No, I said. You poisoned the room before I walked into it. Then I pressed play on the recorder. His own voice filled me kitchen. The old lady fell for it. Brooke stopped crying, Tyler went still. Jason closed his eyes. That was the second twist. When it ended, nobody spoke. Then Diane placed the sealed envelope on the table. Mrs. Ellis also updated her will. Tyler stood so fast his chair scraped the floor. What did you do? I looked at my 3 children, the 3 people I had fed before myself, the 3 reasons I had ignored my own loneliness for decades. I did not cut all of you out, I said. Not today, but the house will not be sold. Not while I'm alive, not after I'm gone. Brooke blinked. What does that mean? It means I'm putting it in a trust. Tyler's mouth opened, but nothing came out. When I die, I continued, this house becomes the Maggie Ellis Table, a small non-profit kitchen for seniors who live alone, widows who eat standing over sinks, and old women whose children only call when they need something signed. Brooke covered her mouth. Jason began to cry silently. Tyler slammed his hand on the table. You're giving our inheritance to strangers? No, I said. I'm giving my life's work to people who know what it costs. You can't do this. I already did. That was the third twist, and it was the one that broke his control completely. He looked at Diane. She's not competent. Diane's eyes went cold. Beverly, careful. I stood then. Slowly. My knees hurt, but my voice did not. I paid your rent when your shop failed. I kept your lights on when you lied to your wife. I never asked for applause. But you do not get to call me old, stupid, and incompetent because I survived long enough to catch you. Tyler's face turned red. I'm your son. And I am your mother, I said. Not your down payment. For once, he had no answer. I did not hug them. Love does not always open its arms. Sometimes love locks the door and lets people hear the echo of what they have done. In the months that followed, Tyler did not visit. His shop struggled, and his wife called once to tell me he was devastated. So was I told her, when I heard him divide my house while I was still alive. Brooke came back after 6 weeks, without flowers and without a speech. Would I have done it, she asked herself at my kitchen table. If you hadn't come home early? She looked at me. I don't know. And that scares me. That truth did not heal us, but it opened a door. Now she comes every other Sunday. I do not lend money. I do not sign anything. We drink coffee. Sometimes we talk. Sometimes we sit in the ache of what almost happened. Jason comes most Sundays. He fixes loose cabinet handles, changes porch bulbs, and never asks for a dime. I have not forgiven him completely. He has not asked me to rush. That is why he is closest to earning it. As for the house, I started early. I make soup now, not 400 plates a day. I refuse to chain myself to a stove again. But I set the table with cloth napkins, the blue plates I Yusetto save for holidays, and a little sign by the door. The Maggie Ellis Table, no woman is leftovers. I took down the framed photo of my 3 children from the hallway. I did not throw it away. I put it in my bedroom by the window, where I can look at it when I choose, not every time I come home. In its place, I hung the deed in a simple frame. Some people think that is cold. I think it is honest. Sometimes I wake at 3 in the morning and hear Tyler's voice again. The old lady fell for it. Then I walk barefoot to the kitchen, touch the wall, and look around at the house that still knows my name. I did not fall for it. I came home early.